Joan Rivers will not be seen today, so that we may bring you live coverage of the Bulls rally.
WGN Television is proud to present Three Peatables, a celebration in Grant Park. And quite a celebration it promises to be, as you can see from this blimp shot high above Grant Park and the Petrillo Music Show. Hello again, everybody, for the third time in Grant Park and the Repeatables. I'm Rick Rosenthal.
And I'm Dan Roan.
It's good to have you with us for this third time. Weather's perfect. The setting is gorgeous. We expect about 300,000 of our closest friends for this celebration.
I'll tell you, Rick, if anybody thought that the enthusiasm might die down as the years go on and these Bulls keep winning these championships, forget about it. This is one of the most boisterous crowds we've seen since we started doing this back in 1991, and they are really having a good time as they get ready to welcome the Bulls to the stage here at the band show.
We think you've probably got some of the best seats in the house. Let us show you why. We've got cameras all over the place to give you some terrific vantage points, including this shot that we'll be going to regularly from about 800 to 1,000 feet above Grant Park. This is our blimp shot, and looking down you can see a piece of the action. City officials estimating as many as 300,000 people will be crowding Grant Park for this Three Peatables celebration. We can give you another look. This is a shot that we're going to pull back. That's the world's tallest building, of course, the Sears Tower, just to show you the throw that we can get from this camera. And a look there at the Petrillo Music Show. This is a third camera that we'll be offering for you as we push to the podium where the Bulls owners, Johnny Red Kerr and the others will be speaking to you. And we've got another vantage point, and this is the behind-the-scenes look. This is where the Bulls will be coming in, and you, right where you are, will be getting a first look as they march out on stage one by one as they are announced by Johnny Red Kerr. You know, this is a very orderly crowd. No surprise there. We've got a few Chicago police in evidence, Dan, but nobody's looking for any trouble. This is truly another celebration for the Bulls.
Yeah, people may be becoming a little bit accustomed to showing up at Grant Park in June to celebrate this basketball team, but as we said, the enthusiasm is certainly here. Great signage, if I can say that. We've seen some real inventive stuff.
Some of which we can't share with you.
Yeah, well, that's true. But there are some great slogans coming up. The one I saw, and we'll try to show it to you later on, 4 on the floor in '94. That might work a little bit later on.
That one, there was one that I saw too. Forever is another good idea. We are looking past the three-peat, obviously, to 1994 and see if we can do it again. Let's get through today first. We've got a tremendous celebration for a tremendous event. You know, Michael Jordan's dad, I think, said it very well. He said the first two were news. This is history, and that's what we're really dealing with.
He is absolutely right.
We got a couple of reporters to assist us in our coverage this morning, among them Roseanne Tellez, who is somewhere out in the sea of humanity behind us at the Petrillo Music Show. Roseanne?
Well, that's right, Rick. It is a sea of humanity, and they're ready to make some waves today. And just as the Bulls have prepared for today all season, so have some of their fans, coming up with some great ideas for how to celebrate this moment, and some great banners. They put a lot of time and effort into some of these. Look at this one. Just 3 words for next year's challengers: forget it. P.S. We really mean it. Now, this is Bill, the guy who put this sign together. How long did it take you to make this sign?
The concept took about, I'd say about a good 2 hours or so, but it took me about half an hour to scribble it last night, actually.
2.5 hours, and it sings. They're going to love it.
Just to get the idea, and yeah.
Have you done this? Did you do this the last 2 years? Did you have a three-peat slogan?
No, actually, that's why I wanted to come down. This is the first out of the 3 years that I got a chance to come down here. I kind of slid out of work and got down here, so.
Okay, well, we're sure they're not watching, so you're off the hook, Bill. Come up with another one for the next time. Thanks, Bill. Now back to you now, Rick and Dan.
Kind of slid out of work.
He ain't the only one, I'll guarantee you that.
Yes, this is true. Well, as the city has told us, they're expecting some 300,000 people here. And Dan, this looks very comparable to the crowd of about 300,000 that we had last year. So.
I would say so, even though it's at a bit of an earlier hour than the previous celebrations. But the grassy area back to the east of us is really filled in, and there are people still coming in. We're about, 25 minutes away from when the Bulls finally arrive.
Although we do expect some warm-ups. I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll give you the rundown in just a second. But Rich King is our other of the two reporters that we have out here in the Petrillo Music Shell area, and let's see what Rich has got cooking. Rich, how are you doing?
Well, good morning, guys. I'm in the Bob Euchre seats down here, the final row. We're dead center, though, to the stage. The Bulls coming here in about a half hour, as you mentioned. Lots of people here arriving rather early, and right behind me, let's get some people in here and see what they have to say. What time did you get here?
I got here about 8:30, and I kind of told everybody that I was taking pictures for, I forgot, I think U of I or something like that, and they let me get through.
You got in, right?
Yeah, I got in. I pushed my way through. If I wouldn't have did that, I wouldn't have probably been able to get through, but I'm kind of depressed. My car stopped on me this morning, so I said, hey, what the heck? I might not have the money to get it fixed, but I'll come down here for the 3 feet.
You get here anyway. How you doing?
Fine.
What time did you get here?
5.
5 a.m.? What time did you have to get up then?
3.
3 o'clock in the morning. Did you walk or did you take a bus or what?
We took the train.
The train, huh? What do you got? Let me see the sign here. You see that sign? There's that sign Dan Rowan mentioned earlier. 4 on the floor, 94. Here's another one. How you doing?
Okay.
Are you excited? What's your favorite Bulls player?
Michael Jordan.
Michael Jordan. That's bet figures. Okay, let's get one more guy out here if we can squeeze him in. How you doing? What time did you get here?
Very good. 5 in the morning.
5. Boy, you guys are really gung-ho. Looking forward to a great celebration, right?
Yes.
Let's have a Go Bulls. Go Bulls. Go Bulls. Okay, guys, we'll throw it back to you up there at that lofty podium.
And, of course, we'll have more from Rich and Roseanne in just a couple of minutes. Now, this is not just going to be us standing up here talking. They've got some preliminaries up on the stage according to the schedule of events, which, from previous experience, we know is never going to go the way they plan it. But what they do want, they've got the super fans from Saturday Night Live will be the opening act up here, and we're frankly expecting them anytime. As soon as they show up, of course, we'll take one of our half a dozen cameras and take a look or two at them. We've got Special Events Director Jim Sheehan from the city of Chicago, who's going to be doing some of the Master of Ceremonies chores, and after the super fans, he'll be introducing the Love of Bulls, Benny the Bull, the mascot, of course, and the Bulls brothers, who did a great gig up there last year. That was fantastic. We're looking forward to more from them this year.
They're terrific, and another look from up on high there with the blimp, and you can see some of the crowd. And as they said, they started coming in the early morning hours, but we had a picture out here last night on the news after the White Sox game, and there were already people filling in the seat area. The only negative, Rick, is that all these people that you see there in your picture can't get down close to see their heroes. There's only room for about 42 or 4,500 down in the seating area.
That's right. The official seating capacity in the Petrillo Music Shell, this is the official capacity, is about 4,500. With the SROs, the standing room fans, you can expect that perhaps that has about been doubled to perhaps 8,000 to 9,000.
A fire marshal's nightmare down
exactly
there.
Right. We got the official version and the unofficial version. The unofficial version coming from one of our camera guys, Mike Prendergast. Officially, nobody was supposed to spend the night in the seats at the Music Shell.
Right.
Nobody was supposed to be allowed in until, say 7:30 this morning. But Chicago police are really, you know, they serve and they protect. That is their motto, and they do it so very, very well, despite the occasional criticism that comes up. So when you get a fan or two that may want to drift in, they'll wink at them, they'll nod at them, and as long as everybody's cool, they were allowed to spend the night. So by 3 o'clock, when our crew started setting up here, and a wonderful job they've done, when our crew started setting up around 3 o'clock this morning, there were maybe 150 people already in these seats, and they were certainly allowed to spend the night, and surely they did.
Well, you know, Rick, when it gets to be a routine, everybody's a little bit more relaxed about things, and of course, this is a routine, isn't it?
Chicago police are no less fans of the Chicago Bulls and of the fans of the Bulls than anybody else, so we have to tip our hat to them and to the fans. Understand Roseanne has somebody else for us back down in the crowd here at the Music Shell. Roseanne?
Well, that's right, Rick. Not everybody has a message for the Bulls. Actually, they all have a message for the Bulls, but they have a message for the Suns, too. Look at this banner I just found. Hey, Barkley, God changed his mind. This sign put together by Marie. Marie, what's the message here?
Well, it was in relation to Charles Barkley saying that that God wanted his team to win, and we disagreed. We said God changed his mind. He wanted the Bulls to win.
No sympathy for the Suns then.
Well, not at all.
I see you also have some homemade shirts here. Let's look at this. 1993 World Champs. Homemade. How did you do this?
Well, we kind of like took the pattern and we pressed it on with an iron. Then you gotta outline on the
bed.
No, I don't have it.
On the bed.
How long?
Well, we just did it last night, so did it lots of hours to dry.
Drying them out.
Yeah.
Standing here.
Well, they look great. Terrific job. The Bulls will appreciate it. So we'll keep chatting with the fans and check back with you in a little while. Back to you, Dan and Rick.
Okay, Roseanne, you know, Charles had a couple of the great lines of the playoffs when he said he had that little conversation with God, and God said it was destiny for the Suns to win. Someone asked him about Michael Jordan, what Michael would have thought, and Charles said, well, Michael told me he read a different Bible.
That Barkley is great for a quote after quote after quote. Michael got in a few licks of his own, too, but he did his speaking pretty much on the floor.
Yeah, I'll tell you, it was a terrific series, and Barkley showed the world what a great basketball player he is.
That was really a treat. I think probably the real winners in this have got to be the fans.
Oh, no question. And NBC's ratings just absolutely went through the roof. This is the all-time most watched basketball series in history.
And with good
well
reason.
Deserved, yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. Listen, while we have a little bit of time, we're going to take a quick break here in Chicago. We will be right back with more of Three-Peat Bulls. Chicago celebrates the Bulls in Grant Park in just a moment.
You hungry for your fourth? And I'm hungry for a Big Mac. Sears Brand Central. Don't miss this sale.
Welcome back to Three-Peat Bulls, a celebration in Grant Park with Dan Roan. I'm Rick Rosenthal. Beautiful day for a celebration, probably the best of the three that we've seen so far.
Absolutely, not a cloud in the sky, just a few airplanes and blimps and helicopters going
That's
by.
right, about 800, 900 feet up in the air to give us a tremendous shot of this crowd. Very orderly bunch of folks, all waiting for things to begin, as are we, and we expect any time now we'll be hearing from the super fans from Saturday Night Live, the Love of Bulls, Benny the Bull, the Bulls brothers, and about 10:30 the actual festivities begin. We can take a quick look for you backstage just to show you the preparations do continue. Not much to share with you yet, although we do expect things to start percolating pretty quickly. We have not yet seen the Bulls. We do not know that they are here yet, but of course as soon as they arrive, that backstage camera will show them to us. Rich King in the Petrillo Music Shell, where there are 5, 6, 7, 8,000 people surrounding him. He's out behind us, and Rich, give us a check-in.
Rick, well, some of the fans are yelling, "We want Bulls" already here. It's a few minutes away, but the fans are set to go. We have Joe from Elmhurst here. Joe, how you doing?
Pretty good. How you doing?
Who's your favorite Bulls player?
Jordan. Who else?
Jordan. What time did you get here this morning?
6 o'clock.
And what do you expect? Do you expect this? Have you been the other two, or is this your first one?
First one. Had to wait 3 years for it. Why not wait now?
This is the best weather we've had. I think the coolest, right?
The hottest.
Yeah. Joe's got a special surprise for you now. Tell us about what you got a haircut today?
Yesterday.
Yesterday. Who did it?
The person who cuts my hair. I felt like I had to do something special for the Bulls. You know, they're special to us. I got to do something special for them.
Let's turn it around here and see Joe's haircut if we can. There it is. Hope you got a good shot of that. Okay, Joe, thanks. It'll grow out.
About a week or so.
Okay, guys, that's it. Back to Dan and Rick up at the podium again.
And the interesting thing is, I think Christoph did that for him in the back of an airplane sitting on a runway out at O'Hare.
You know what I like? I like the ones better where they shave the whole head and leave the Bulls in hair in the back. That looks much better.
I'm sure we'll find somebody like that in the next 5 or 6 minutes. It's one of those kind of crowds. You know, this is always such a great people story. That's really what it's all about. It's about the Bulls, about their fans. Roseanne Tejas is standing by, and I'm sure she's got another perfect example of just exactly that. Roseanne?
That's right, Rick. They're out here young and old, everything in between, and they really just love the Bulls. Tell me, who's your favorite Bull?
Michael Jordan. It's got to be Michael.
Michael, don't you have a couple favorites?
Paxton for sure. I mean, that last shot was just wonderful.
How about you? Do you have a favorite Bull?
Scottie Pippen.
Scottie Pippen? And how did you think he did this series?
I think he did great.
Were you nervous? Were you ever nervous? It was really a roller coaster ride of a series.
Yeah, it was a tough series to watch. It was really tough.
Yeah, that's for sure. That's why we're here, third year in a row. We're out here.
So you were out here the last 2 years?
All 3 years.
Okay, is it any different?
We're having a great time, and Again next year, number 4.
Okay.
Yes,
you have it. That is definitely the dominant theme down here is number 4. Next year, we all plan on being right back here. Back to you, Dan and Rick.
I'm sure Phil and the players would just soon worry about that a little bit down the line.
Maybe about 18 holes, 36 holes of golf, and then we'll start to think about 93, 94.
You know, we give you some historical perspective on what the Bulls have achieved this year in winning their 3rd consecutive championship. I think everybody pretty much knows that they are the 3rd team in NBA history to have won 3 in a row. The Minneapolis Lakers there, and you saw the Boston Celtics, of course. But there are teams in other sports that have won 3 straight, and we'll go to baseball first. The Yankees did it back in the 30s. And then the Yankees were able to do that again from 1949 to 53. In fact, they won 4 and 5 in a row. And the most recent baseball team to string together 3 straight was the Oakland A's, of course, back in the early to mid 70s. In hockey, it's been done several times as well. The Toronto Maple Leafs have done it twice, as have the Montreal Canadiens, most recently in 79. And of course, the Islanders back in the early 80s won 4 straight. And in the college ranks, the National Football League, we can show you that too. UCLA had that streak under John Wooden that we all remember. The Packers won 3 football titles in a row, but in the American Football League, the old AFL, and of course in the NCAA, no team has ever won more than 2 consecutive championships. So the Bulls find themselves in some pretty elite company as they win their 3rd straight.
Not only that, and we could begin a discussion here that could literally last for a decade, and that is the comparison of the 1992-93 Bulls and their three-peat to the Celtics of the late 50s and early 60s, to the Minneapolis Lakers. What would have happened, speculate for me for a second, because you really got the expertise, if you were to put these Bulls up against those Lakers or those Celtics?
Well, there are a lot of theories about that, and the Bulls have had plenty of their own, Rick. And what the players and coaches have said is that the talent in basketball is at an all-time peak, and there's really nobody that would dispute that. Add in the fact that back in those Boston years that teams only had to play a round or 2 of playoffs, not like they play these days, having to go 15 victories before you win the championship.
Did I read somewhere where the Bulls have actually played 91 playoff games in the last 5 years? I mean, that's a whole season right there.
Well, that would be about right, because it takes 15 to win. That's 45 victories in the last 3 years alone, not to mention the games that they've lost, and then the games that they played when they lost to Detroit in 7 the year before the three-peat began. So yeah, they played a whole lot of games in the postseason. You know, it's almost the 4th of July, for gosh sakes. The Western Open starts next week in Chicago. And, you know, literally, this series could have lasted another day. We might have been playing basketball tomorrow in Phoenix and doing this on Friday.
Exactly.
So that's how
right.
long things are going these days. That's how tough a grind it is. And then throw in Scotty and Michael playing in the Olympics,
of course.
All the other distractions that went along with this season. And this truly is the most meaningful championship for the players. They would be the first to tell you that this one means the most. You know, they kind of sneaked up on people a little bit in 91 when they beat the Lakers. And they were expected to win in 92 against Portland. They had the best record in the NBA, and, you know, we're going for the all-time victory record in the regular season. This year, everybody thought it would be tough with the Olympic experience playing in there, and it was very difficult. They survived the Knicks somehow and came back after a couple of surprising defeats to the Suns and stuck it out and won this championship, and it is most impressive for them to have done it.
No question about it, and one wonders what the attitude of the team, the fans, the sports writers, the experts such as yourself will be when the next season begins later in September, October this year, going into 1994. If we've got a minute, let's take a quick break, because we do expect that things are going to start happening up on the stage. Maybe, Dan, we can push him into speculating for us about the 93-94 season. We'll be back in just a moment. Three-peat Bulls, a celebration in Grant Park, continues on Channel 9 right after this.
Go ahead, ask her age.
I'm 34.
42. 29.
Who do they think they're fooling?
Everyone. Revitalizing makeup.
Welcome back to Three Peatables, a celebration in Grant Park with Sports Director Dan Roan. I'm Rick Rosenthal, along with, as we've said, Dan, 300,000 or so of our closest friends. Let's go back to that blimp shot. It is such a gorgeous shot on such a gorgeous day from about 800, 900, 1,000 feet above Grant Park. You can see what we're talking about in terms of this sea of humanity that is surrounding the Petrillo Music Shell. This is kind of what it looks like from an overview. Let's also take that backstage camera shot again for just a minute if we can, because we want you to know, our viewers, that we're very much aware that you want to see the action. And as soon as it begins, we'll show it to you. This is how the Bulls will be coming in, and this is the camera shot that we will share with you as soon as they do. They have not yet arrived, although we do understand that they are on buses and inbound, but the timing of it, as you might expect, with the traffic downtown for this celebration, is always going to slow things down. It did in 1991, it did in 92, and we have no doubt it's doing so again in 93. The Lovables will be there, Benny the Bull, the Bulls brothers, the super fans from Saturday Night Live. We expect it to get started shortly, and of course, when it does, we'll have it for you right here.
I haven't heard any complaints yet about the program being delayed by a few minutes. I think everybody is just enjoying the weather.
Exactly.
And the entire atmosphere that surrounds this celebration for the Bulls.
Roseanne Tellez joins us once again, back down in front of the Petrillo Music Shell. Roseanne?
Well, Rick, in large measure, this is a real family affair for a lot of people. The whole families are Bulls fans. They've packed lunches and come out here to celebrate. People are coming out of the woodwork. Everybody's here. They've come from home. They've come from work. We found some people dressed like this man. Tell me, what's the story here? Are you playing hooky?
I'm playing hooky this morning, but I'll be going back to work this afternoon.
Going back to work. You have a great hat here, too. I noticed this. I had not seen one of these yet. The little bullhorns appropriately turned to the left. Who's your favorite?
Well, like Michael Jordan, of course, and have to like John Paxson after that last shot.
Was that the play of the series for you?
It was. They were down in the fourth quarter. They had to come back, and that was marvelous. Didn't want to see it go to Game 7.
So you're going to brave this heat in this coat, suit, and tie. You're going to stay out here for the whole thing?
Yeah, I had to. I'm afraid I wouldn't be able to go back to work if I was out here in shorts and a tank top.
Okay, good point. Good point. So people are prepared. And as you said, nothing's really started yet. The Bulls aren't here yet. The show hasn't started. And already the enthusiasm is really building. So it's going to get nuts. We'll talk to you in a little while. Back to you, Dan and Rick.
Okay, Roseanne, and as you say, Dan, doesn't seem to be bothering anybody that pretty much nothing is going on. We've got folks out here waving at us occasionally, which means they must be desperately lonely. I don't know.
I'll tell you one thing. The crowd out here in the grassy area, Rick, is much bigger than it was the previous 2 years.
I think you may be right. Last year we were getting an estimate, and of course crowd estimates are so tough to figure. The Chicago PD comes up with its best guess, and it's only that. You may get an order of magnitude. It will be in the hundreds of thousands, not the tens of thousands certainly, but beyond that I think it's almost impossible to measure. This is the route that we understand the Bulls will be taking down Lakeshore Drive, across the river, the old S curve, which is now the new curve, and heading on toward Grant Park. They will be on board a pair of buses, we understand, and then for them to wade through Grant Park, if indeed this is the route, they're going to have a heck of a time doing that unless the police officers open up.
Hey, that's Darrell Walker.
Friend of yours.
Darrell, of course, was absolutely thrilled. In fact, thrilled to the point of tears in the locker room Sunday night after the Bulls had won. Darrell's been in the NBA for a long time. He's a Chicago native. Was out of a job, Rick, at midseason. The Bulls picked him up, and Darrell Walker comes away with his first NBA championship ring. He's up there alone, by the way. There's Lisa Harris of the Bulls staff, but the rest of the team has not arrived yet. Darrell must have missed that bus. I wonder if they're going to fine him for that.
Well, I'm sure he'd be happy to take the fine if that's what it comes
to. He probably wanted to get here as fast as he could to soak all this in, and if he did, I wouldn't blame him one bit.
Not at all. As we said, the buses, we understand, will be proceeding down south Lakeshore Drive. Now, the problem they're going to run into, in addition to the crowds and the traffic, although Chicago PD has done a good job of keeping things moving, is a good piece of Grant Park is blocked off because, in addition to the other laid-back, quiet little things we do in Chicago, is a modest little happening called the Taste of Chicago, and as most of you know by now, that begins on Friday, and the preparations are already underway. Pieces of Jackson, Columbus, Congress are all closed off in the park, so traffic may be a problem, although if anybody can get them through, the Bulls can get through.
I'll tell you what kind of a time warp I've been in, going back and forth between Chicago and Phoenix. I did not even realize that Taste of Chicago was going to start Friday when I walked in here this morning from downtown. I saw these tents. I go, what are they selling these tickets for the rally? At Taste of Chicago had not even crossed my mind.
It's just another one of the great things. I hope I don't sound too much like a booster here, but
Let me admit it, I am. And that is that the city of Chicago is truly a world-class city. And I've always said it's one of the best kept secrets west of the Hudson and east of the Rockies. People say your winters, my gosh, hey, we dress for it, we can cope.
Wow.
And nobody else can boast a three-peat like the Bulls have brought home for us, and we're celebrating here in Grant Park today.
Summertime in this city cannot be beaten anywhere.
You got it right. Rich King back behind us. He is at the Petrillo Music Show. Several thousand people there, many thousands more in Grant Park. But Rich, what do you got going for us, Rich?
Get the Bulls' arrival. I'll tell you, a lot of people here have called in sick for work. A lot of chest colds around the Chicago area today. Okay, let's get these to you. I understand you had a little chest cold this morning?
Yeah, I called in sick to work today. I can't make it. Real sick.
Hope your boss isn't watching.
Hope not.
How you doing?
Oh, I'm really sick today, too. I'm supposed to be at work, but I don't think I'll be able to make it.
We've got some Tylenol for you and some aspirin if you need. Okay.
Thank you. Those are much more important than work.
You look pretty good, though. I don't know.
I don't know.
Right.
Don't tell anybody. Really bad.
Tell us about that last game. What went through your mind when Paxton shot one in?
I was like, oh my God. I'm like, yeah! That's what I did.
How about you?
Same thing. John Paxton's my favorite player. He's #1.
Paxton is?
Yes.
All right. How about you?
Horace Grant.
Horace Grant. He had a big block there at the end.
Yeah, big one.
Okay, guys.
Johnny Paxton.
Everybody's having a good time here, I'll tell you. Guys, this crowd is set. Let's bring the Bulls on. Back to you.
Well, let's bring them on, Rick. We'll little
wish we had-
reprise from Sunday night when the Bulls won the championship. She said John Paxton was her favorite player. Well, we aim to please here on Channel 9.
That's what we
Let's
do for a
show you
living.
that shot one more time that Pax hit. Bulls had the basketball with 13 seconds to go in the game. Scotty to Horace. The kick back to Pax, who'd spotted up behind the line and put the three in the three-peat with that shot. And then the defensive stop by Horace Grant on the other end on Kevin Johnson, and the Bulls set off this kind of celebration with their third consecutive championship.
While we have a second, Dan, clarify something for me. Was that a set play, or was it that Horace really didn't have any faith in his offense? He'd had 1 point the game before, 1 point this time around. Wasn't confident that he could tie the game with 2 points down low. Kicked it back to Paxton. Well, how did that shake out?
Well, Horace said after the game in the locker room, semi-tongue-in-cheek, that the way he had been shooting, he didn't want to risk going up there and shooting free throws. The Bulls had a rough time at the line during the entire game anyway, but I think he was well aware that Pax had the hot hand. You know, John was 3 of 4 from three-point range in the game, including the final shot, and he was certainly one of the options. That's why Phil Jackson had him on the floor, Rick. He's done it before many, many times. Don't forget who shot down the Lakers in the fourth quarter in 1991 to get the Bulls their first championship.
And you make an interesting point, because Phil Jackson may be among the more overlooked participants. Can't really call him a player, although he's certainly been a main player in the overall success of the Chicago Bulls. He's done a remarkable job.
There's Steve Shanwald, vice president of the Bulls for broadcasting and other duties. He is moving on to the stage, and if he's moving out, Rick, that means the rest of the ball club probably isn't very far behind.
We've not yet seen the buses from our vantage point in that blimp. We could be able to show it to you. We do wait for them to come south on Lakeshore Drive, and if anybody's going to see it, of course we will from this vantage point.
Well, they are on their way. They passed by Belmont Harbor, and they should be here momentarily.
Of sorts.
There's a little bit of activity on the stage. I think what we're hearing is a little Frank Sinatra action, just warming up the crowd a little bit here at the Petrillo Bandshell on the lakefront in Chicago.
Well, once again, we ask our viewers patience. This is nothing over which we have any control, but these things typically do start a little bit later than they are scheduled. Right
Rick,
now we were supposed to be. Go ahead.
You were asking about Phil Jackson.
Yeah, let's go back to that, because he is really a key player in this thing.
Well, there's no doubt about that, and I think that Phil's accomplishments and his part in all this have been overlooked to some extent. How about a piece of cake, by the way? Look at that thing. That's a thing of beauty. I wonder if Chef Hans cooked that one up.
I don't know.
That's backstage at the Bandshell. I'm sure the Bulls will all be involved in that before it's all over with.
Unless it's a fake, and I have no idea whether it is or not. We'd like to get some information for you, and we'll try to do that. We know nothing about this other than it sure looks good.
You know, Rick, one of the things Phil brought to this ball club when he came in was the ability to deal with the various personalities involved in this club.
And
when you
that's
have
not
one
easy.
No, when you have one so strong as Michael Jordan, obviously he tends to dominate not only with his abilities on the floor, but with his personality as well. And what Phil was able to do was identify the personality traits of each of these ball players and in turn figure out exactly how to deal with them. You know, he identified Horace as kind of his whipping boy, you might say, for one of a better term. You know, Horace takes the heat for this club. When Phil's upset, he'll go after Horace some. Horace has demonstrated through the years that he responds favorably to that kind of treatment. He gets himself back up when he gets criticized and goes out and plays harder. Some of the other players don't take that so well.
We're taking a quick look behind the scenes. These are the superfans from Saturday Night Live, and they are rehearsing their ad-libs. And we expect we will see them shortly. When they do, we will go ahead and they'll be coming out in just a second. More than psychology, Dan, with Phil Jackson, to get back to him for just a second before the entertainment begins. It's psychology, but it's strategy. He's got to know injuries. He's got to plan ahead, not only for today's game, for next week's series, but he's got to look ahead to the semifinals, the quarterfinals. He's real. Paxton's knee surgery, for example, he had to decide when Pax was going to be ready to rock and roll and really pace himself and the team for the whole year.
Well, he did a great job in that regard, and you know, it's all hand in hand with the medical staff, Dr. Heffron, Chip Schaefer, and Phil's assistant coaches, Tex Winter, Johnny Bach, Jim
Some
Clemens.
unsung heroes,
Please,
that's right.
do not overlook those people. They are the architects very much of what's happened with this basketball team in the last 3 years.
Very low key, very behind the scenes, and yet everybody. This really. Let me ask you another question in this context. Has this third championship not been, of all three, the biggest team effort, including the assistant coaches, all of the behind-the-scenes people, more than any of the others?
Well, given the difficulties with Scotty and Michael playing in the Olympics and the off-court distractions and that type of thing, I think, Rick, there is no question that this is the hardest of the three championships that these guys have worked for. And they had to put in a lot more to win it this year than they did in the other 2 years, and that makes it that much more meaningful for them, I'm sure.
Does superfans getting ready with their lines? We expect we will see them on stage. You're seeing them behind the scenes now with our backstage camera, and they'll be out front in just a moment. Of course,
we see George Wendt all over the place. Georgia has spent a lot of time in Chicago. Went to the Pauls. Big Blue Demons fan as well, and certainly one of the bigger Bulls fans you'll ever see.
Big is right.
In more ways than one.
No play on words intended. And we've got a full rundown. You know, the Lovables will be going through a couple of their dance routines. Benny the Bull is going to show up. Although in that hot suit, you can't blame Benny for staying behind the scenes as long as he can. Let's go back down into the crowd in the Petrillo Music Show. Roseanne Tellez for a quick report. Roseanne?
Well, Rick, everybody out here, well, let's ask me, all pumped up? Yeah! Just wait. If they're pumped up now, wait till the Bulls get here live and in the flesh. But a couple of people have already seen them live in the flesh. You saw one of the games, right?
Yeah.
What was it like there?
It was exciting to watch.
Was it just a little noisy at the stadium, maybe?
Yeah.
How about you? Did you go to one of the games?
Yeah.
You did? What was your favorite play?
The dunks.
The dunks? Enjoyed those? We have to show this young man's haircut, by the way. This is how enthusiastic he is. 3-peat on the back of the head. How did you get that there?
My mom had a shaver. She shaved it in.
Your mom shaved it? My God, what kind of a blade did she use?
I don't know.
She cut hair normally?
Yeah.
So did she do a lot of other? Did your friends have it done too?
No, they're chicken, so I wouldn't do it.
You wouldn't do it? How about if they went a fourth? You shave your head then?
Yeah, that'll do it.
Okay, there you have it. We're going to get his name and number and make sure he does that next year and makes good on that promise. Back to you, Rick and Dan.
Those kids look like got their hair done at a Supercuts drive-through, I think.
I'm still waiting for that reverse cut. I know we're going to get it before this show is over with.
One way or another. The crowd continues to grow, Dan. They're very orderly, very patient. We do believe things are going to be rocking and rolling here very soon. Quickly, before we go up to the stage for the beginning of the expected entertainment, let's check in one more time with Rich King. Rich?
Okay, Rick and Dan, one more sign here. A lot of signs here. A young man went through a lot of work to do this. Bulls, if you can see it, Bulls forever. You see that sign there now? Look at the bottom of this. There's a little C on the bottom, and that's a copyright. Pat Riley, of course, getting the deal. You got that copyright in there.
Yeah, I got that copyrighted last night, 2 o'clock in the morning.
Make a lot of money, huh, next year?
I hope so, just like Pat Riley.
You got a message for Charles Barkley?
Yeah, one thing for Sir Charles. It was our destiny.
Back to you guys.
Nobody ever accused Chicago fans of being dummies, did they?
No, you know that hat that the guy had on who had skipped work with that reverse 3 with the Bulls horns? That was little enterprise that was ventured into by a couple of guys, young guys up on the north side, that the NBA was very interested in partnering up with. They were expecting that to become so hot, and those guys are talking about making 6 figures on that.
Well, let's forgive the cynicism. There are the buses now for the Bulls. They did get off Lakeshore Drive, and that does look like Michigan Avenue. They went across Ohio. They can't go across Ohio. Ohio is one-way eastbound, let's say Ontario, but in any case, they look to be on Michigan Avenue if I be a judge of it, and heading south, they will be swinging into the park. Don't forget our behind-the-scenes, behind-the-stage camera. Let's give them 3-4 more minutes. I don't see a police escort, do you, Dan?
No, it looks
everybody's
like
going to grease the skids for them to come on through. But
hard for us to see the monitors with all the sun out here, but it looks like they're on their own.
Well, let us give them a good 3 or 4 minutes before they actually get into Grant Park here at the music show. I mean, we do know that they are the Bulls, and we understand there are a couple of squad cars in front, but traffic is sometimes rather uncaring in Chicago, whether you are the Bulls or just a taxi driver or somebody else trying to get around town. In any case, doesn't seem to me like anybody's in any big hurry to get this thing going. It's a party.
The super fans, my friends, will be out first to warm things up before the Bulls get here anyway. So we've probably got a good half hour before we start hearing from the players.
That is true because of a half an hour program or so that was to have begun at 10. And as we say, these things do run a little bit late and usually a little bit long. I would like to volunteer that we take another quick break while we have the opportunity and before things really get to rocking and rolling up on the stage. Why don't we do that, and we will come back with more live coverage right here on Channel 9. 3 Peatables, a celebration in Grant Park, will continue. Don't you go away. We'll be right back. He's on stage. Let's join them.
All right, now you may have noticed a lot of the merchandise around here that they're selling. You know, 3-peat this and 3-peat that. You know, we just want to say to Pat Riley,
listen up.
Yeah, you must be feeling pretty smug, pal, with that, and smart with that 3-peat trademark. Well, don't count your money too fast, my friend, because we have trademarked the only truly relevant phrase.
That's right. Like we said 2 years ago, we're not talking 3-peat, we're talking a minimum 8-peat. Read it and weep, decade.
We're very sorry, Pat.
Sorry, Pat.
Sorry, Pat. You're going to have to buy a few less Armani suits than was planned, my friend.
That's right. Forget about that. Our cut is going to charity, my friend.
That's right. The committee to reopen Dickus.
That's right. No, it's going to go to Northwestern Hospital right here in Shitetown, IL.
And we're going to go to Jordan's restaurant, my friend, for some macaroni and cheese.
Until Iron Mike returns, which he will. Now, we understand it is very tempting to buy this 3-peat stuff. We all want to celebrate the 3-peat. But we just want to say one thing. If you must buy a 3-peat shirt, buy it from a bootlegger.
Please.
Do not put the money in Pat Riley's hands.
Now, we'd like to address the remainder of our little portion here to a certain Charles Barkley. Charles.
Listen up, Charles.
I got a question for you, buddy. Charles, what God did you talk to?
That's right.
And from our blimp shot, you can see the Bulls off the buses and filing into the south entrance of the Petroleum Music Show. We'll be seeing them shortly.
Dialing 312,
There's
my
our backstage shot.
Now you know Chicago is God's country.
That's right.
And Cook County is God's county.
Oh, yeah. Sweet.
just about protecting our
There's Michael Jordan entering the band shell area.
We just want to say it's true. We did put up a lot of plywood on Friday night, but it was nothing compared to the bricks you were throwing up Sunday night.
Dan, there's always so much love.
That's great
So much
stuff
love
there.
here in Grant Park.
Good line.
with all those bricks he was throwing up, he could have built a little summer home for him and Madonna.
That's right. Nice little nook. I mean, the guy was 7 for 18 from the field. This was the MVP of the season.
Sir Charles, meet King Michael.
King Michael. MVP stood for Michael's vice president or something.
Yeah, all right, time for a little tune?
Time for a tune.
We got a tune. Time for a tune here.
Okay, we're going to take you. All right, Chicago. There you go. Do you feel all right tonight, people? Let's do some rocking. Actually, we're going to do a little bit of a folk tune today. We're going to take you on a little musical journey through the 1993 NBA playoffs. Hit it.
It was
never in doubt, my friend, my friend. It was never in doubt, my friend.
The only question was, when would it end?
Because it was never in doubt, my friend.
All right, let's start with Atlanta. I can dunk the ball like Michael, and I've got the same physique. And I can let him sweep my sorry ass. Hello, I'm Dominique.
It was never in doubt, my friend, my friend. It was never in doubt, my friend. Everybody, the only question was, when would it end? Because it was never in doubt, my friend. Cleveland, Jordan's got the ball. Time's running out. Listen to all the cheers.
Can we stop him?
No.
Are we women?
Almost. We're the Cleveland Cavaliers. It was never in doubt, my friend, my friend. It was never in doubt, my friend. The only question was, when would it end? Because it was never in doubt, my friend.
Oh, I'm not allowed to butt your head or scratch you and leave deep marks? But in New York, there are no rules. Good for me. Hi, I'm John Starks.
Okay, I had to watch the playoffs from my living room this year. And I picked the fight with my color TV. How you doing? I'm Bill Lampier. Was never in doubt, my friend, my friend. It was never in doubt, my friend. The only question was, when would it end? Because it was never in doubt, my friend. All right, let's examine the Phoenix series.
I'm a punk who goes from team to team with a face you want to rearrange. I look like Opie and I cry like him too. How are you? I'm Danny Ainge.
Okay, let's talk about Game 3 for a second. A 4-game sweep, that just won't do. We better fix Game 3. Here's 20 grand, refs. Make it look good. How you doing? We're NBC. You know it's true. It was never in doubt, my friend. NBC didn't want it to end, but it was never in doubt, my friend. Okay, the final game of the series.
I'll take a shot from 40 feet and miss it very rarely. But in the final minute, I'll hit nothing but air. How's it going? I'm Dan Majorly.
It's Dan Majorly. Majorly.
Well, he majorly choked.
There you go. Okay, moving on. I'm hated by folks all through this town, from Wabash to Pulaski. I ruined the Bears and I fired Coach Ditka. Have we met? I'm Mike McCaskey. It had to be said, my friend. Okay, back to the Bulls. Here's your finale.
Oh, I talk to God. I have no hair, but my head is really sparkly. I'm no role model for your kids because I'm a loser. Hi, I'm Charles Barkley. And sweet John Paxson put it to an end.
Cause it was never in doubt, my friend. The Bulls.
Not to be crass about it, but somebody could make some money off that music video.
I hope somebody was rolling tape.
That's fun.
As you may have noticed, we are donning the ceremonial hula skirt and coconut bra. And now it is time. You know, although the Bulls won in the 90s, Bulls are a great team, we cannot forget the guys from the 70s who brought us here. And so today, joining us for the ceremonial traditional hula dance is Chicago's own Butterbean Bob Love.
There's one of the greats.
You may never see Bob
Gentlemen,
Love
you ready?
get up like that again.
Here we go. All right, Bob, that's great. Terrific. We're done.
And a new tradition is born in Chicago with Buzz
Those
the
of you
fans.
stepping up to the microphone, Jim Sheehan, director at the mayor's office, a special event. Mayor's not here, it's the next best thing. See you later.
Thanks very much, Super fans. We would like to welcome everybody here today to see the Chicago Bulls. On behalf of Mayor Daley and the sponsors that are paying for this, Miller Lite Beer or Miller Genuine Draft, Chicago Tribune, Montgomery Wards, we want everybody to have a good time. So now we're going to bring on the Chicago Lava Bulls.
And for those of you who may be wondering why Mayor Daley is not here, he's attending a conference of mayors in New York City. The press of official business.
I bet his VCR's at work right now, though.
I would guess. Here come the Lava Bulls. Wonderful new tradition was born here this morning, Dan. We bore witness to history. The hula skirts and the coconut bras, a first.
And it was a beautiful thing, wasn't it?
Brought tears to my eyes, you bet.
Taking over your soul, but keeping the dance floor in control. So come on, y'all, let's pick the rhythm up, cause I know you ain't had enough. Still coming at you strong, so if you're down, so we can get it on. Make way, make way, make way for AB Logic. Make way, make way, make way for AB Logic. Y'all ready for this? Y'all ready for this?
And they do earn their keep, don't they, Dan? They really work hard.
They sure do. A big part of what happens in Chicago Stadium every game night. Kathy choreographs that group. Kathy and her people really do a terrific job.
A lot of enthusiasm and a ton of energy. I imagine they're as ready as the players are for the season to be over, with all of the time and the effort and the energy and the work that they put in, not only in performances at the games, But rehearsing, as you pointed out, the choreography.
For the Lava Bulls. Next is the Bulls brothers and Benny the Bull.
The Bulls brothers, and there is nobody in this crowd estimated at 250 to 300,000 that would argue with their message of the Bulls forever.
Let's hear it for the Bulls brothers and Benny the Bull. The next person needs no introduction. He's a member of the Fine Bulls organization and their announcer, Johnny Red Kerr.
First coach of the Bulls and well respected here in Chicago.
John was shut out, Rick, as you know. He didn't do any broadcasting during the Eastern Finals or the Championship Series, but he's the biggest fan they have, I'll guarantee it.
No doubt about it.
Rise and we'll sing the national anthem with Wayne and Kathleen Mesmer.
And you know, in his own way, Dan, Wayne Mesmer is such a champ. This guy does such a great job.
He and Kathleen are terrific together, too, and you're going to hear them right now.
Say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were still gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled
Well, as I was saying last June, welcome to the victory party for the Chicago Bulls, world champions of the NBA. I'd like to have you welcome, as he walks to his seat, please, one of the great owners that this city has ever seen, Jerry Reinsdorf.
We'll have a few introductions, and then, of course, we will bring on the Bulls.
Let me introduce you to the man with the plan, the designer of this ball club, the general manager, Jerry Krause.
Boy, isn't it great to be here 3 years in a row. It'd be hell to be in Phoenix today, and it's a hell of a lot better to be here. Thanks for all of you. We'll talk a little about the staff and the people later on, but thanks for being here. This is a great group. Thank you.
Next man I'd like to introduce is a guy that has the best winning percentage of any coach in the history of the NBA in the playoffs. 74%. A man that did not receive a vote for Coach of the Year, but who's the Coach of the Year? Phil Jackson.
Maybe Phil did get in on that dead concert after all, huh?
Well, they are certainly giving this dealer his due today.
Well, he deserves it.
No doubt about it.
Of course, Phil was helped so much by Johnny coaching from his seat behind the bench all during the playoffs.
Welcome heckling, I suppose.
Yes.
PJ.
How sweet it was. Thank you. About 2 years ago, Scott Williams came up here almost to this day and said, real men do it twice. 3 times sure is nice, isn't it? Thank you.
All right, let me bring back to the podium the general manager, Jerry Krause, to introduce his fine staff. Here he is.
The guys who bring the talent here. The guys who do the scouting and do the hard work throughout the world. First of all, a female who helps me so much and is my left arm is Karen Stack, who coordinates all our scouting activities. And Karen, would you stand up, because you certainly deserve to be recognized.
This brings us back to the unsung heroes and heroines, Dan, that we mentioned earlier in our program.
Guy who's been with us for 5 years and is an outstanding scout, Jimmy Stack, Karen's brother, Jimmy.
Can only wonder who he's got upstream for the
Clarence Gaines Jr., who does a tremendous job as one of my assistants and scouts all over the country.
We'll talk
Clarence,
about that
would you
later.
stand up?
Tony Kukoc among them.
That's right.
Young man who we just hired this past year, who played 14 years of professional basketball in Europe and is an outstanding star and scouts all over the world for us, particularly in Europe and now in the United States, from Croatia, Ivica Dukan. And then 2 great people who have helped us from the get-go. 8 years ago, the second person we hired in this organization, he's still here. He does a tremendous job. Our strength and conditioning coach, Al Vermeil. And his assistant, who's been with us now for, I think, 6 years and does a great job, Eric Helen.
Doesn't Al Vermeil have a training video out?
Thank you.
I heard something about that.
Great to be here, June, and we hope like hell to be back here next June.
Top-notch people Jerry just introduced.
Yeah. One more time, just to introduce his staff, the coaching staff.
And Rick, here's some of the people we talked about earlier,
Exactly
like Johnny
right.
Box and Tex Winters and Jim Clemens.
Too short. My staff, which has done a terrific job for the last 4 years, I'd like to introduce, first of all, our trainer, Chip Schaefer.
He's had a lot of work to do this year, hasn't he?
And he's done it well.
Not only is Chip physically helping him out, he does it mentally. He's a therapist, both mental and physical. His assistant, Johnny Ligmanowski. Yeah, sweet. Our scout, the man who works with our younger players, the guy that does the road work, Jim Clemens. A future head coach in this league. Defense coordinator, John Bach.
Check out Johnny. The ace of
And the offensive mastermind, Tex Winter. Thank you.
All right, hold on to your hats. This is called a pause for dramatic effect.
Johnny's good at it, isn't he? I've heard this music before.
Once or twice. Well, this is the third time around here for us, and it's every bit as exciting this time as last.
Your NBA World Champion, Chicago Bulls. Ed Neely. Corey Williams. Brent Tucker. Rodney McCroy. Junkyard Dog, Darryl Walker. And returning for the three pairs, here they come, Will Perdue. Stacey King. Scott Williams. John Paxson. And the two co-captains of the Chicago Bulls, Bill Cartwright. And from North Carolina, Michael Jordan.
There's a lot of gold under that bad shot.
Why don't you know they earned it?
Okay. As we've done in the past, we've asked the members that have repeated as champions if they'd come to the mic and say a word. Let's have a little hello from Will Perdue. Will.
Looks like Will has some notes prepared.
As you all remember last year, I had a cute little saying for everybody. So I couldn't let you down, so I thought I'd say the same thing, but a little different. All right? So y'all listen up. As I promised last year, the third title is oh so sweet. I know, because once again, I had that same damn seat. Could a fourth title be for us? I don't know. I could just be driving a bus. So let's all enjoy number 3. Who knows? That could be it for me. Thank you, Chicago.
All right, let's hear a little bit from the left-hander, Stacey King.
Hey! There it is! Oh, yeah! Hey! All right. Hey, we had a long, hard year, but we all hung in there, and we won the prize. We had to listen to the Atlanta Hawks, we had to listen to the Cleveland Cavaliers, and especially those bad Knicks. Yeah, every time that we played in Madison Square Garden, all we kept hearing was, go New York, go New York, go! Go New York, go New York, go! And yeah, they gone. There it is! There we go. And the final series against Phoenix, we had to listen to Phoenix talk about they saved our city. Police. Well, we did them one better. We saved their city. We had to also listen to Danny Ainge after the game say that he goes, last year when I was in Portland, we knew the Bulls were a better team than we were. Yeah, we beat them 4-2-2. This year, he was on a different team, thinking the thing was going to be different. We had to listen to him say this year, he said, now trip this is what he said. He goes, no matter what the outcome was, I think this team was better than the Bulls. Well, my name is not Albert Einstein, and if you look at the record, it was 4 games to 2, and I think someone needs to teach him how to count. Whoop, there it is. We love you, baby.
Basking in the reflective glow of the championship, Stacey King.
You know, some of these players have been around a long time in this league. They play many, many years before they get a championship ring. But this guy must think it's easy. He's got 3 rings in his 3 years here. Scott Williams.
Scott Williams pitching the perfect game for his NBA basketball career. 3 for 3.
Chicago, how does it feel? Woo!
I just want to thank y'all. You know, when I came into this league 3 years ago, undrafted, most people didn't think I'd be long enough to pick up 3 paychecks, let alone 3 rings. So, woo, there it is. I just want to say thank you to all you guys that supported us all year long. It was a struggle for us in the regular season, but you all hung behind us, and here we go, we'll party again. I just want to say that I love Chicago, I love this city. I don't know what's going to happen, but I hope to be back, so party hard, y'all.
Nobody's going to argue with that. Let's all hope he's back.
Well, when a lot of people get in trouble, who do you call? You call Ghostbusters, right? But when there's 3.9 on the clock, you call the Pac-Man!
Nothing to it. He's been doing it all his life.
Hey, a couple of weeks ago, I'm in my backyard with my 6-year-old son, and we're shooting baskets. And he hits a shot at the buzzer to win a game. And he looks at me and he says, hey, Dad, wouldn't it be cool if you could do that someday? Well, Ryan, I did it. Thank you, Chicago.
The next guy I want to bring up, in his first day of practice at the old multiplex, they weren't going to let him in because they thought he was too young. They call him the kid, but he's a man.
want to say this has been a great run, a great experience. And I'd just like to commend all my teammates that I've had over the last 4 years I've been here in Chicago. And what we've achieved as a team has been a really spectacular and a wonderful experience. And I'd like to thank you, the fans, most of all, because you've been behind us from day one, and we really appreciate it. Thanks. God bless all of you. I hope we'll be back here again next year. Thank you.
The next guy I'm going to bring up has scored a lot of points for the Chicago Bulls over his career. But we were all happy that he decided not to take the last time he had the ball in his hands taking a shot. But what a job he did. Horace Grant.
He'll be remembered for the shot he didn't take.
For me personally, it's been a struggle during the Phoenix series. But because your fans were behind me and my teammates helped me to carry on. You know, if you guys support us like you've done the last 3 years, and I guarantee another 4 Peat.
I'm going to bring up a member of the Olympic championship team, the Dream Team, a guy that had a triple-double in Game 3, a superstar in this game of NBA basketball, Scottie Pippen.
What's up, Chicago? I want to thank you guys for all the support you gave us this season. We've been successful every season we've been there. Let's go for 4 in a row.
There's my guy, Rick. I knew we'd find that head somewhere in this crowd.
I'm going to bring up a man that made sure we got back to the final round by his outstanding play in the first 3 series. The co-captain of the Chicago Bulls, Bill Cartwright.
This year was a definite long season. A season of ups and downs. I thought it was a great season for everybody. And what I just want to say, I just want to thank everybody. And with a little luck, we'll be right back here next season. Thanks.
Charles.
For those of you who didn't understand what he said, Stacy will tell you.
Well, it's been 3 long years, and we got our 3rd championship, and we couldn't do it without you. Who? There it is.
Cartwright's going to kill him. And Charles Barkley, if you're watching, it's almost time to talk to God again.
All right, you know how hard it is to three-peat, to win 3 championships in a row? Well, it's just about as hard to win 3 MVPs of the championship round. Let's hear it with Michael Jordan.
Michael Jordan will get that hardware a bit later on today here in Chicago.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Let me say, as you know, I've been here ever since this team was at the bottom, and we worked 8 hard years to get to where we are. Last 3 years, we've been very, very tough in terms of trying to duplicate what we did the previous year. Certainly, destiny
shall be back here for the 4th time. Thank you.
Like you said, it's time for Charles Barkley to make that phone call again.
On behalf of the city of Chicago and Mayor Daley, we're going to get every one of the players will get one of these. But Mike, would you unroll this for us?
This is the traditional banner presentation.
Tremendous.
These are up and down Michigan Avenue downtown.
All right. They three-peated. Now I want you to give a final round to the Quad Squad.
Johnny Kerr checking in.
He's trying to get in on the money train too, I guess.
Wonder if he copyrighted his last night at 2 o'clock in the morning.
The Quad Squad.
Okay, guys, this ends a brilliant 3 years in the history of the Chicago Bulls. But stick around, this is to be continued next June.
I can't imagine what New York would have done. I cannot imagine seeing a similar scene such as this in Phoenix. Chicago is one of a kind.
We are the champions, and Michael Jordan walks off. Later this afternoon, he'll pick up that 3rd consecutive Finals MVP award.
And what is that, Dan, exactly? It's a ring, it's a trophy, it's a what?
He gets a trophy for it. You know, Michael only averaged 41 points a game in the 6 games against Phoenix this year. And they needed every one of them. We haven't said this, but we should say probably, in fact, definitely should, that Phoenix put up the strongest challenge the Bulls have faced in any of the 3 finals. I mean, they had a great team, a great season, and really put up a fight.
We've not heard the last of Phoenix. I have to say I was a little bit concerned, as we expressed on the 9 o'clock news a couple of nights, when the Knicks in the semifinal series had the Bulls down 2 games to none.
Crowd starting to file out, but most of the people inside the seating area are reluctant to leave, and I really don't blame them.
I think they want to hang on to their seats for next year.
A tremendous outpouring of emotion. That's almost a cliche. You know, we've said it every year, but boy, there's really some strong feelings between these basketball players and these fans.
And it goes both ways. We've said so many times, watching the Bulls on the floor, and it became a factor out in Phoenix, where the Phoenix fans tried to become that 6th player on the floor. Didn't quite get the Suns over the top, but the fans here in Chicago, the 17,000, 18,000 people who crowd the stadium time after time after time, really have been such a factor for the Bulls, and that's why it's not a one-way street with the fans applauding the Bulls, but as so many of the players in their remarks commented, they too are applauding the fans for all of their loyal support, because I don't really think they could have done it without the fans.
No, you know, Rick, and I think there was a point during this great run the Bulls have had, even before the 3 championships, where it became a status thing to be seen and to see other people at Chicago Stadium. I think this group has transcended all of that. It's not a yuppified thing, if you can use that term anymore. There's some genuine emotion being passed along between the 2 sides here, and it's really a great thing to see, and for myself personally, it's been a great thing to be a part of.
And you get to sit behind that bench so many times. You have some terrific opportunities, and yet to be out here, I think, is as special for you as I know it is for me, as it is for the several 100,000 fans who've joined us today.
It's a moment to remember as Michael Jordan leaves the area. People hanging all over the fences trying to get a glimpse or a handshake or a picture or whatever they can.
As we've said so many times, too, it was really quite a show that he put on as MVP of the finals, but it wasn't only his show.
No. Michael showed that he wasn't bulletproof. He was stung by some of what happened in the last month or so, the criticism of you know, his so-called gambling problem or whatever, but Boy, talk about a guy persevering through some tough times. Michael saved his best for last in the championship series, and of course, once again, was the driving force for the Bulls headed for this championship.
As the crowd begins to file out in a very orderly bunch, it has been all morning, to no one's surprise. Let's go back down into this sea of humanity and check in again with reporter Rich King. Rich?
Okay, Rick, a really great ceremony for the third straight year. Gorgeous weather, the fans taking it in here. What'd you think of the ceremony? You're Janice, right?
Oh, it was awesome! Woo!
Who's the best speech?
Jordan.
Jordan, all right. How about you? Who'd you like the best?
Paxson.
Who was it?
Paxson.
All right. 94. We got a lot of people out here. Who gave the best speech out there?
Scottie Pippen.
A lot of fans enjoying this really good ceremony. Well conducted back here. A very orderly crowd, and they're having a great time here, wrapping it up here. It's a three-peat here in Chicago, and back to you. A final thought for me is that I got one thing to say, and I was looking for quotes and everything about this three-peat. It shows a mark of a great ball club, a lot of integrity for the Bulls to win this thing for 3 straight times. But there's only one guy that stands out in my mind, Dan and Rick, and that's Jackie Gleason, who once said how sweet it is. Back to you.
Say that about the first one, the second one, the third one. The Lovables were suggesting, and the Bulls brothers, and Red Kerr had on a t-shirt that I don't know whether you noticed as he was doing the announcements. Minimum 8 feet. That's not a bad way to go.
My friend.
Roseanne Tay is also standing by as the crowd continues to filter out of the Petrillo Music Shell. Let's go back to Roseanne.
I can't tell you how relieved the fans are to have gotten a chance to see their favorite players up close and personal, well, as personal as you can get in this sea of humanity. And this is a B.J. Armstrong fan here. You heard the comment about him being a man. How did you feel to see Armstrong today?
Oh, he's great. I love him. He's the best. Yes.
Okay, we have, I tell you, fans of all the players. Who's your favorite player?
Michael Jordan.
And to see him today, how do you feel about that?
Great.
It's fantastic. The crowd out here is so pumped up. I'm sure they can hear us in Phoenix. And that's it for us. Back to you, Rick and Dan.
Let's see if we can go back upstairs. Roseanne, thank you. Let's take another look down on what we are experiencing here at ground level. And from our aerial shot from the blimp, we'll see the crowd moving into Grant Park, and you'll get a look. Golly, what a great looking city this is. Is that something or what?
Beautiful.
Now you're looking west. The blimp is over the lakefront, and you're looking west at the crowd. I'm guessing, Dan, 250, 300,000 would be a conservative number. Chicago Police Department will come out with their final figures later on. There are the Lovables back on stage again for a little post-ceremony entertainment, but most folks understand it's over. And they are filing out. There will not be a lot of traffic in Grant Park because, as we mentioned earlier, it's already been blocked off because of the Taste of Chicago and the preparations for that. Taste of Chicago begins Friday. Who knows? Maybe some of these fans will just stick around.
Well, Rick, we don't start quite yet, but in October, this group will come together once more and try to do what's been accomplished only once in the history of the NBA, and that's win more than 3 consecutive basketball championships.
Now go back where we were talking before the program began about the difficulties. Nobody expected it the first time out. The second time it was kind of expected. This third time was three-peat. Nobody was real sure about this one. We weren't terribly confident. We knew it was going to be tough. As sports director at Channel 9, go into the 4th season now and tell me what the attitude is going to be in the locker room for the Bulls this time out.
Well, the difference, one of the differences will be that they'll be sailing into uncharted waters here. We don't really know what to expect as far as motivation for this ball club, but I can tell you one thing. The chemistry will be totally different on the Chicago Bulls in 1993-94. I talked to Jerry Krause in Phoenix Sunday night, and he said that Tony Kukoc signing is a done deal. We'll hear about that before too long. Tony is a very talented player, very talented, one of the best players in Europe, if not the best player in Europe. But how will he fit in with superstars like Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen? And what will it do to the Bulls' salary structure? Who will stay and who will go? You're going to see a totally different cast of characters on the Chicago team.
Talking about the possibility that he might not be warming the bench or driving the bus in 93-94.
Well, that's a strong possibility. Scott Williams is also on the bubble. What do you do with Bill Cartwright, a guy who has been a tremendous factor in this three-peat drive, but whose best years are certainly behind him? John Paxson told me a month ago that his knee hurt so badly he couldn't imagine playing another season.
And yet he's got a year to go in his contract.
Yes, he does. And it's for big money. And after what John has done, I know he has actually felt better. It hasn't just been the elation of winning the championship.
Sure.
His knee has gotten better in the last month or so. Phil Jackson told him Sunday night, as we did No Bull with Phil Jackson in America West Arena, don't run a step, don't pick up a ball until October. Be ready for me when the season starts next year. So Phil wants him back.
All right, now let's talk about Michael Jordan for just a second. There was talk, a little bit of smoke and not a lot of fire about this notion of Michael Jordan's retirement. He said at the end of the series with Phoenix, the Bulls have won the championship again. He said, my love for this game is strong, and as long as we're winning, essentially, he's going to be around. I can't imagine that being a question for 93, 94, or 94, 95, or am I starting to slide into uncharted territory there?
Yeah, you may be. 93, 94, I don't think it'll be a problem. Michael pretty much diffused any thoughts of his retirement, following these 3 championships. But beyond that, Michael's one of the most underpaid guys in basketball, if you can believe it, in terms of his salary that he gets from the Bulls. He's only at about $4 million a year.
There goes the bus. Let me interrupt for just a second, Dan. Those are the buses that brought the players in from goodness knows where and is taking them to who knows where. Maybe Michael Jordan's for macaroni and cheese for lunch.
It's a possibility.
In any case, they are on their way, as are most of the fans around here. Some folks lingering, some stragglers and all. I interrupted your thought. We wanted to talk about that shot with the Bulls leaving, but about Michael Jordan.
Well, the fact is that he is underpaid by comparison to some of the other NBA stars in this league. And I think that it'll take some kind of a phenomenal effort by Bulls management, and not only to offer him the money that might keep him there for another year or two, and they certainly want him in that brand new building when that all starts.
That's right, the United
but
Center.
they have to do some very creative accounting to try and get that kind of a number in under the salary cap. Michael has some personal goals left out there too. He'd like to become the all-time scoring leader in the NBA, most years in a row having led the league and that kind of thing. He'll have a chance to do it if he sticks around another year or so.
We're starting to swim upstream against the clock, as we always do on these things. Want to thank everybody who's been involved in it, from our technical crew, our director Bill Borson. Everybody on the staff did a super job. Our thanks to you, our viewers here at Channel 9, for joining us. Dan, always great to work with you. Let's come back and do it again tomorrow. Next year, I mean. Minimum 8 feet, huh?
Let's do it.
Dan Roan, I'm Rick Rosenthal, Roseanne Tejas, Rich King in the crowd, all the staff and crew. Thank you all very much for our help. And for you, the viewers, we appreciate your time. Thanks for joining us. Chicago celebrates the Bulls 3-peat from Grant Park. Have a good day.
It was one of those great stories that you can't put down at night. The hero knew what he had to do, and he wasn't afraid to fight. The villain goes to jail while the hero goes free. I wish it were that simple for me. And the reason that she loved him was the reason I loved him too. And he never wondered what was right or wrong. He just knew, he just knew. So we soared through the pieces, my friends and I, searching through the darkness to find the breaks in the sky. Well, it was one of those great stories that you can't put down at night. The hero knew what he had to do, and he wasn't afraid to fight. The villain goes to jail while the hero goes free. I wish it were that simple for me, were that simple for me.
We now join our program already in progress.